All right, so welcome once again to Honey Drops on the Sages. I'm Onoja Simeon, and today I'm looking at something that happened recently when I went out to collect samples, sediment samples. Actually, what happened was I went to the lake. It's a canal, yes, canal. I think that's a more appropriate word. So I went to the canal to get sediment sample for my research work. And on getting there, just as I was approaching, I saw this innocent bird, should I say drowning or floating on the water? And just without any thinking I just went straight for the rescue. And what I did was I quickly stretched or threw in my auger, the thing we use in collecting sediment from, So I threw it in, and as if the bird was actually waiting for and praying for anybody that would come to its rescue. It climbed with whatever, or what I would call the last ounce of energy it had left, climbed up the auger, and I pulled it out. And while I was looking at the bird, a lot of things were actually going through my mind, because this was at the heat of coronavirus, remember? In fact, it was in the midst of the lockdown. And so I was wondering, could it be that birds have started carrying corona? Because how on earth should a dove or a pigeon that be doing on top of the water drowning? That's not something I've seen before. So I was actually wondering why the bird was there. But a part of me just wouldn't allow me to leave the bird there. So I decided to bring it out. When I brought it out, as you can obviously see, it was struggling even to stand. I don't know if it was cold or it was sick, but I decided that I was going to help the bird. So what I did was I took it into my lab. That's supposed to be a chemistry lab, not a bird lab. And so there in the lab, I thought the bird would need two things. One, it would definitely need heat because it's been in the cold water for a while. And two, some form of energy. There's nothing else I could think about. Of course, I couldn't get glucose, and I don't even know if glucose would be suitable for a bird. So what I did was I went to the cabinet, the tea cabinet, got one of those sachet sugars, and dissolved it, made like a sugar syrup, and used my pipette, that lab pipette, to administer or to feed or to give the bird a few sips or drinks of sugar. And also to help with the cold, I think it's the bird's lucky day, because one of the things I use for my work is a low temperature oven. So I held the bird in the oven for a few minutes, and I could see that it was actually getting stronger and coming back to life right there in the oven. And before the close of work on that day, the bird had gotten so strong. And so when I was going home that same day, I took it home, got to my garden, and you can see, on just dropping it in the garden, you can see how it's already trying to fly. And I was just looking at the bird, and I saw that I've actually saved a life, By the second day, obviously the bird had gotten so strong that it was able to fly away. And while I was thinking about that, I started drawing some life lessons from that, and I recalled this proverb that I knew a long time ago, where it says, in trying to understand how the tortoise, is it tortoise or tortoise, got to the treetop, you don't ask how, you ask who helped it. So as I was looking at that and looking at that particular proverb, the proverb is actually saying that you don't know how far people can get to in life unless you render them, just give them that little support they need, And while I was trying to think and, check and look up information about this idea, I came across this story of a boy, one 11 years old Shanawole, yeah, that's what they called him, Shanawole, the then cultist who, through the kind deeds of one Pastor Tony Rapu, is it Rapu or Rapu? Has moved from being a drug addict, stroke cultist, stroke killer and robber, to a responsible citizen. I think the last time when I was reading the story, they said he had become a pastor. if you look at how that young man moved from who he used to be to who he presently is, you would see that many of the people who meet around we see in life, and we just write them off. We just say these are non-entities. This would never amount to anything. With a little support and help, you'll be amazed at how far they would go in life. You'll be surprised at what they'll be able to make out of their lives. But while I was also looking at this thing, I got to this territory where I started asking myself, what can be the barriers to this little everyday tiny help that one can render to people? And just as I was thinking about that, like they popularly say, talking about the devil, that early morning while I was brooding on this thing, I just got a message from nowhere on my phone. Someone said hi. It had a lady DP. I looked at the picture. It's not someone I knew before, but I just responded same morning. And the next thing I would see is messages on how the person had been operated and was in the hospital, the mommy is dying, I should send money. And the first thing I thought about is, could this be true? Could it not? Because I've had several experiences back home in Nigeria where there was this instance where I met this guy who really needed help, according to what I could see, needed help. And I thought I was helping someone. What he told me was, as soon as he gets, not really that I wanted the money back that I gave to him, but it just showed to me that yes, this person was not being sincere. So the person eventually helped, these people who just meet you on the road and be like, I'm going to so and so place, I'm stranded, I traveled all the way, I need to get back to where I'm going. And the nice me went on and helped, exchanged numbers, thinking I was going to hear from the person, and I never did hear from them. And later when I was talking to people, I was told, forget about those people, they are scammers. That's what they do, they just go about telling stories. And I'm sure every one of us would have received one or two of those fake emails that tells you stories that touch in a bid to get money out of you. And there was another instance. This time it was a more disturbing one, because I was in my house on a Wednesday morning. I think it was a Wednesday morning. I was in the house, it was raining, so I was a bit kind of lazy to go out, and I had a knock on my door. I think this was around maybe 8:30 to 9 a.m. and I had a knock on my door, and let me give you an idea of how far this person would have come to get to my house or to get to my door, because I'm living in a house, in a gated house. We have a gate. So how this person passed through the gate and got to the first floor where I live, I still don't know. And that to an extent makes you think, okay, this must be a serious case. So when I opened the door, I saw a man, I think between maybe 50 and 60 years old man, with his son, and who I would say is around maybe 15 to 18 years. And they were both standing at the door. And when I saw them, he said his son was wearing this dark shades glass, and he said that he has come to me because he has nowhere else to go. He lives just around the corner. His son is due for surgery in Zaria. I was in Lokoja, and that he couldn't raise transport to go to Zaria, and brought out some paperwork, and the son took off the shades, and I saw like red mark on the eye. I don't know exactly what that was. And out of compassion, because I actually just thought he was telling me, I didn't expect an elderly man of that age to pass through the gates in the rain to come and knock on my door just to lie. So I came out of the house, took my ATM because I didn't have cash in the house that day, took my ATM, drove the man and his son to the nearest bank, withdrew money. But while I was making the withdrawal, the security at the bank came to me because I'm a bit familiar with them. I used to greet them, if you know what that means. And so the guy came to me that he hopes I'm not planning to give that man money, because he's in his word, he's a thief. He's just looking for people to scam. And I was still operating this theory of, well, it doesn't matter what they do with it, it doesn't matter what they think. I'll just do my path and leave them with their conscience. So I still went ahead and gave the money to the man, and the man left. And when I came back, the security guy was telling me that he knows this man, that he's around telling people the same story and all of that. And well, I said, no problem. So I drove off and went home. Now, not quite 1 month after, I was at the mechanic workshop, was checking my car. And the same man with his son walked up to me with the same story. And this time I was beginning to develop this idea of it's not right to give this kind of people money because you're encouraging them to do something they shouldn't be doing. And so I quickly told the man that, look, this thing you're doing is not right. You've told me this same story before. And immediately I started speaking, the man started walking away. And I stopped his son from going, and I told the young man, I said, look, this old man has wasted his own life. You're a young boy. Don't allow him to waste your life. And that's all I just told the man, and they walked away. And the truth is, whether you like it or not, those fake people, those scammers have a way of affecting us, or affecting how well we respond to people who are truly in need. Like when this ladies or guy, I don't know, whoever is behind that name came, I had this little challenge of trying to differentiate. How do I tell for sure that this is not fake and this is real? Of course, what I've always relied on till this date is I try to allow my instincts. So I probe a bit, ask one or two questions. If it doesn't just make sense, then it doesn't make sense. So if it doesn't make sense, then it really doesn't make sense. And most times I allow my instinct to lead me. And part of the things I intend to achieve with this video is, I don't know if you're someone who has had that kind of experience before, where you are being presently affected. Each time you see people asking you for help, you try to see how you strike a balance between knowing if this is real or this is fake, because whether you like it or not, there are people out there who really need help. And whether you like it or not, these scammers and these evil people who, I don't know if they don't understand the consequence of the things they do, who go about trying to scam people and send useless emails. What they don't realize is, for everybody they scam or they cheat, they are actually robbing innocent people who actually need help. And so I don't know, I'm hoping that part of the things you will do after watching this video is leaving a comment on ideas on how to go about, pinpointing and knowing who the real people who need help are. Sometimes I tell myself that, it doesn't matter if it's real or not. Just go ahead and play your part and help. But the thing is, on a second thought, you realize that helping or giving money to these guys who go about trying to scam people can cause more harm than good. Because one, they just go off saying, I'm a smart guy, and then they go and start trying to scam other people, sending emails abroad and tarnishing our image. When you continue giving them, helping them, in my own opinion, what you're doing is encouraging people to do something they shouldn't be doing. So I believe strongly that as much as it is good to help, it is not right for us to keep encouraging these wrong people. So please leave a comment on how you think one should approach this thing. But basically what I'm saying with this video and with the story of this bird that was hopeless until I came is that people genuinely and really need help. And when we say help, we're not saying you must go and adopt somebody, or those big, very minor things can change some people's life. Like they will put it, every little helps. It could just be a kind word. It could just be something, you just share your idea or something. Somebody might be going through a situation and they feel like this is an impossible situation to get out of. But just by sharing your experience with them, you'll be amazed. They might just, be able to summon the courage and strength to get through such tough times. So the life lesson I drew from my experience with that little bird is that the people we come across and we see as non-entities, hopeless, people who are not going anywhere, if we take the time, just take a step backward and just listen to them, or maybe just do one or two things to help them, you'll be amazed at what they will turn out to become. And that's basically what I've decided to share with us in this video. And so please, I have loads of proverbs, African proverbs I've been discussing, and tales of leadership traits and fails, where we look at leadership stories across the world and try to learn one or two lessons from them. So please subscribe to my channel and then click on the notification bell, share. See you in the next video.